All right, we are live. Welcome back to Stock Tricks with Nick, the Friday live stream episode we got for you. Hope you guys had a good trading week. I know for me it was definitely a choppy market, trading a lot of the growth stocks that I do trade. So I wasn't trying to swing for home runs. I posted that a lot on StockTwits. A lot of good growth stocks had quality setups that fell to the wrong side. So didn't do too much trading this week, but did try to put some feelers out with a couple positions that just didn't work out. So had a small loss on the week, about 1% of the portfolio, but hopefully you guys did better than I did. There's still a couple winners out there. We'll talk about them, but before we start this, big thank you to all of the followers here. We hit 1,000 subscribers just on Thursday, so that is a huge milestone, and we've been growing rapidly the past couple weeks, so couldn't have done it without you. It's been really exciting doing this, and especially on StockTwits Twitter, it's a little bit lighter with the connections, but on StockTwits we have a great group going. I get a bunch of great ideas from you guys, and hopefully I'm sharing a couple trade setups that you take, and you can make some money off that as well. So just wanted to thank you guys for all that you do with this hitting the subscribe button and liking, commenting, doing all that stuff to promote this video with the YouTube algorithm. So thank you guys, really appreciate that. It's a perfect timing because my birthday is this weekend, so you guys got me a great present, and I appreciate that. With that out of the way, I forgot to do the intro. If you're new to Stock Tricks with Nick, we do these two live streams, one on a Wednesday night, it's getting a little bit longer, but going through what stocks I'm currently trading, what's on my watch list just for the rest of the week. I think I might push that to Tuesday and kind of just test Tuesday out since there's so much news going on over the weekend. Maybe an earlier week episode would help you guys out a little bit more than Wednesday, where there's only Thursday, Friday left to trade. So I think we're going to do that on Tuesday next week just to test the waters there. And then we do this live stream on Friday, which is still a lot of technical analysis, but outside of that, I always like to put in a different type of trading technique or maybe a monthly summary of my trades, why it's important to track and journal your trades. And this week we'll be going over how to use Finviz to scan for new trade ideas. I'm not sure how many of you guys use Finviz or use scanners to generate ideas. Honestly, a lot of the ideas that I get are off Twitter, just following great traders, and I think that you guys should do that as well. Every Friday, send out a Follow Friday list to the great traders that I follow. A lot of good setups there. This week, they weren't posting a lot of setups, which confirmed my idea that the growth stocks that we trade were not doing well this week. So thank you guys for the happy birthday, and thanks for joining the stream tonight. So we'll do a market recap, just go through SPY, SPY, and QQQ, just to get an overall sense of the market. You could probably tell the stimulus deals have been going, new headline each morning of stocks rise on stimulus hopes, and then throughout the day we don't get the stimulus, so the stocks fall down, and just it creates super choppy trading. Not only that, leading into the election, it seems like a lot of people want to just get their money out, let the dust settle, and then start trading when there is a stronger trend. And that's what I'm doing as well, so I can't fault them. But until we get kind of a stronger trend going, I have no problem sitting on the sidelines and just throwing some test trades out there to get a feel of the market. After that, QQQ and SPY, we'll go over some of the stocks that I got on StockTwits and Twitter to check out. Also, use the chat here to call out any stocks that you want me to see or check out during the stream, and I'll get to those as well. I got a couple of my own trades to do post-trade analysis on, some winners, some losers, some things that I could do better. I always say this, but a lot of YouTube traders, TikTok traders, they only show their winners. This channel is different. I always show my losers as well because it's important to prepare for both sides when you're getting into. If you only know how to win, when you lose, you're probably going to lose everything and more. So a couple of losers, a couple winners, and I have got 6 or 7 trades that or stocks on my watch list for going into next week if we get things rolling in our favor. And then we'll wrap it up with using Finviz to scan for trades. With that said, let's jump to the charts. So SPY. So this is the S&P 500 right here. Got a 6-month chart, and let me change this so you can see what's actually going on in my chart here. So I always do this wrong. Over here, you can see what each of the technical indicators that I have on my chart are, but we got some moving averages, 8, 20, 50, and then this yellow is the 200-day. Got the Bollinger Bands, volume down here with the 50-day volume average, and then relative strength compared to the QQQ. With that said, let's look. So we got Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. So Monday, we opened up a little bit from Friday's close and then just sold off throughout the day, cut through that 8-day exponential moving average, and basically that was the move of the week. Almost the 50-day simple moving average here, not quite. Let me zoom in, get you guys a better view. So cut underneath the 20-day just shortly and then pop back up. We did reclaim the 8-day, so I was getting a little optimistic on Thursday. But I mean, even though the larger markets were flat to, flat down, whatever. I think S&P 500 was down %, same with the QQQ this week. Even though those were down 1%, a lot of those strong growth stocks that have been industry leaders we're pulling back, setting up for quality breakouts and breaking to the other side. And for me, because I don't trade the S&P 500 or QQQ, that's more the indicator for me that it's like, Nick, this is not time to go heavy with your portfolio, not time to use margin, not swinging for home runs at all, because I think 80% or so of the setups that seem to be perfect, that would break out in a normal bull trend, we're breaking to the other side. So that was the big flashing yellow red light for me. Let's go to QQQ. Basically same chart. Let's zoom in a little bit. You got the big dump on Monday and then just sideways movement. Thursday for QQQ did test that 50-day, the red line, the simple moving average there. Found support. So right now we're just bouncing between the really short term with the 8-day exponential moving average, purple line, and kind of the rising 20, rising 50-day. So basically the markets don't know what to do. There's an election coming up, stimulus on the line, earnings season on top of that. So if you're looking for a nice smooth trend to trade, it's going to be really tough to find in this market right now. So you don't have to trade. You don't have to trade every day. You don't have to trade every breakout. A couple of the traders that I follow on Twitter, people were giving them ideas because they're like, man, nothing's breaking out. And of course, there were stocks breaking out and people were feeding them ideas. And they're like, yeah, let's give this time to break out. Let's have a couple go through to kind of confirm that, okay, the bottom's in. Now we can start putting on some size. But a lot of stocks just broke out in the morning using that first 30 minutes, 45 minutes to pretend they were strong and then just pulled right back down. So one stock that did not pull down and just kept on crushing it was Snapchat, SNAP. Let's throw events on there. So got their earnings. Earnings was a hit. So they were up. Actually, let me hide that because it kind of plays with the graph. So obviously on earnings beat, you can see huge volume in, but look at this, closed 26% that day, and we moved 7%. Today was up 11%. So just a gap and go going in for Snapchat right now. Tons of buying volume, always closing. Well, this day kind of closed down a little bit, but the second candle closed right at the high. Today closed right at the high. It's up after hours. Some of these stocks that when they gap with big volume, they can just go. So if you were in Snapchat and you probably did have your 10% or whatever your earnings rules are. Mine are I need a 10% profit to hold anything into earnings, but gave you a strong uptrend through here, kind of a little bounce before, and then took off. So if you're in Snapchat, probably took some profit at this point if you're a swing trader, but you don't want to take everything off because this is just showing incredible strength. So Snapchat leading the way, SNAP. But for a couple stocks that broke the wrong way, let's just run through them really quick. CELH, CELH. I was watching this one. We talked about this on Wednesday. It was on my watch list. This is one that broke out immediately on Thursday. So didn't want to chase after the first hour, so just kind of let it go. Finished up 8% or so on the day. Good volume, so I'm thinking, all right, this is probably one that maybe breaks through, maybe gets the trend going. But unfortunately, just drawing resistance from this line, we did break over that early today and then just flushed. So just another example of a perfect quality setup that broke out, high volume, everything that you want to see in continuation, and then it just pulled right back down. So terrible. That's terrible. It's a good warning sign that it's not time to put big money on the line. PENN, this was a big loser for me. Traded this. Let me throw my trade history on there. Traded this with this little pullback and then break over the previous high. I bought in with an average of $70. You saw a big buying volume come in, and then just on Monday, next day, pulled back down, cracked under the 8-day, cracked under the 20-day, higher volume on the selling, so I knew time to get out, and it hit my stop, so if it hits my stop, I'm out regardless. And then just kind of like downward sideways movement, testing around that 50-day simple moving average. But again, this is a quality setup on a stock that we zoom out, really strong uptrend here, exactly the type of volume difference that you want to see. So volume got really quiet near the breakout point. Then we got a loud volume day on a green day, that's a great sign. Then it just crashed through. Another warning sign. Plug, PLUG, broke out and then started just consolidating. So I started looking at this when it got to the 8-day exponential moving average, volume lightening up here, thinking, all right, we're pulling back here. And then we did get that break over this kind of lower diagonal, but it gapped up. So I was like, all right, not trading this. We'll see if this shows some strength, goes to the upside, but no. Pull back throughout the day, bearish engulfing candle on high volume. So once you got this candle, bearish engulfing, so the highs are higher than the previous day, the lows are lower than the previous day on high volume, just to scratch the trade on this, because you don't want to be in a stock that has some gaps in the chart. So we got has some gaps in the chart, is starting to sell off on volume, and then you did get basically a gap close here, and just unfortunate because this was, pullback, volume getting lighter, right to that 8-day exponential moving average, which has held support for a lot of these growth stocks, then just right through the floor. So that sucked. And then CHWY, got a request to look at this. I was in this, bought this breakout point right here, high increase in volume, really smooth breakout, sold some into strength thankfully, but then as I was seeing all these warning signs that growth stocks weren't doing well, even though the market was kind of flat. I was just trying to take exposure out of the market, and did cut the trade, still higher than my entry point, but if this one sets up constructively to go again, I can always put money back in. I feel like that's something that when I started trading, I wasn't really aware about, or I was, but I was too emotionally attached to some of the stocks I was trading, where if I took the money out, then I'd be like, oh, the trade's gone, like I can never trade this again. No, you can always put money back on. So that's what I'm doing here. Took money off, it was showing weakness. If this sets up again, I can always add when it shows strength. So that's CHWY. Maybe we pull back to the 20-day and then start pivoting there, but in the meantime, I'm not doing anything with that. Man, we got someone from Sweden. I got a comment from Canada last week's episode, and we got someone from Australia. So, I mean, the way this channel is growing, it's been super fun, and to see that we're international is great. NIO, another one that this one's actually holding up pretty solid, so I'm adding this to my watch list. I did trade this breakout. I've covered that in the past. Don't want to beat a dead horse there. Once you get that red candle close outside of the upper Bollinger Band, you kind of, not always, there's no absolutes in trading, but you have a good idea that that's going to start a pullback. So took some profit there, and then again, as I'm just trying to scale out of everything, took the rest. I had 20% of my position left on this trade. But low volume pullback. So far, the 8-day exponential moving average has held. So what I'm looking for this trade, I'm just drawing diagonals across the highs. If we break out through there, then I'm not for sure going to trade this, because again, I want to see the market come back and in a couple breakouts actually hold and not just quickly sell off before I put too much size on. But this looks like a quality setup. We got some support here. Volume patterns looking how it's looking. So if this one now breaks down, that's another red flag. I'm taking more size off. Maybe I'm adding more short. Right now, for every dollar I have in the market, I have a QQQ short just as a hedge. But we'll see. This is NIO. Zooming out, you can see this pattern happens all the time. Breakout, get that red candle close. I know we got one here. Doesn't always work, but pulled back, red candle, pulled back, red candle, starts the sideways movement. So let's watch this. Let's see. And we got the Irish. Awesome. Let's see if this starts breaking to the upside. I hope so. Even though I'm not in it right now, anything that's breaking to the upside and holds, that gives me more confidence that the market can start moving up. All right, so with those guys covered, let's get to some that StockTwits wanted to look at. FTS. Let's zoom out here. So, not that much. Trading in a really tight channel through here, and then pulled back, undercut some previous lows, and then started moving. You see that a lot of the time. Stocks will undercut previous lows before they move after a tight channel. It's just a way to clean out any stops, any weak hands in the trade before people can start putting bigger money in, more institutional money, and take off. So we got that break. Let's see what kind of percent move we're looking at. Only 8.6%, still super tight. Got slightly higher lows on this little push higher and then pull back. So slightly higher lows. Now we got a convergence of the 20-day and the 8-day. That held with the low of the day today. So, I mean, this isn't a home run style setup, but if you're already in the stock, you're watching this uptrend. That's good. You're now looking for today's low, the convergence of that 8-day, 20-day simple moving average as your support. If that breaks through, you're probably going back to trading in this tighter channel. So have a stop kind of under that, maybe under the previous day's low, just to give yourself a little bit more wiggle room. That's FTS. NET, this is one that's also on my watch list. Nice high tight flag that we're seeing here. Had upward motion until this breakout. So up 34% from this low point here. And then we got a breakout of another 33%. So all in all, a move to the top of 77%. That's great. Big volume buying. And then volume's getting quieter. Still, the thing that's making me cautious outside of the entire market being shaky is this is a decent amount of selling volume. It's not crazy. It's not something that's going to make me not take this trade, but maybe I don't put my full size on for the trade. So typically I'll put 10% of my portfolio into a trade. Now during these shaky times, I'm putting 5 because again, I'm more so putting feelers out into the market before I start putting actual money, trying to make money. This, like I said earlier this week wasn't really about making money for me, and you can see I didn't. I was down $600. Not a big deal, but that gives me a sense that a lot of these stocks aren't trading well. But with this, what I'm looking at is kind of using some of these highs. It's not a perfect graph, but you see sitting right on that 8-day exponential moving average, kind of tested above this, did not close above the resistance. The close is the most important, and volume super quiet now. So if we get a break, and this is one of those you're immediately right or immediately wrong stocks because of how tight the price is. Today we got an inside day, so high of the stock today was lower than the previous day's high. Low of the stock today was higher than the previous day. So this will tell you right away if you're right or wrong. You could use today's high to get into the stock, and then use maybe like the second day's low. So even if you're using the Thursday's high and low as your stops, that's only 5.8%. That should be perfect for some stops, and just see how this goes. So NET is probably one of my top 3 or 4 stocks going into next week looking at. But again, not trying to put too much money in until we get confirmation that market's turning around. If we get a stimulus over the weekend, then sure, yeah, that's a different deal. So got a request to look at Uber. Again, not really a stock that I would trade. I've traded in the past, but more for shorting. And yeah, just super wavy through here. We're not much higher than the 200-day simple moving average. We're not in a strong uptrend. So again, all the stocks that I try and trade are in strong uptrends that are just pulling back to like the 20-day, 8-day, something like that. And hopefully on low volume as well. That's what I really like. But let's see, does this work? So that's what you're watching for. Can we break over this, actually get some momentum going? It is putting in these higher lows through here. So, but you're not buying right into here. That's the middle of these two sections. You're not selling. It's not giving you a reason to sell. It's just not a trade that I would take. If we break over here with some value, maybe some news, good virus news, that's something. But there's so many better setups that you can make money on. Not something that I'm really looking at. Got a request to look at FedEx, and obviously this has been a monster, really smooth uptrend. So up 140% since like June-ish. Under a little bit of pressure here. We got our first close under the 8-day exponential moving average since, man. So that's a little scary. So first close under that. Maybe you took some profit through here. But we reclaimed that today with slightly lighter volume. Again, this does not include after hours volume, so maybe that was on increased buying volume and then the uptrend is good to go. This just hasn't really given you a clean buy point unless you're using kind of this pullback to get in. But if you're already in the stock, you've probably taken some profit through here on this uptrend. But now you're using this previous day's low give it a couple days, and that'll also kind of coincide with the 20-day simple moving average. That's what I would look at, and a break under that, and I'd kind of cut the trade. Again, if it starts pulling back and you get out, you can always add back in once it starts to show strength. Just because it pulls back doesn't mean you're done trading it forever. Important lesson to learn. Also got AVXL. So starting to move a little bit through here. We got a close today right near the high of the day on increased volume. Let's see. So you got a little coil action through here. And then I don't know the news on this. This is the first time I'm looking at the stock, but big buying volume through here, but it also sold off pretty quick and had that long lower wick. Didn't matter, faded higher, and then today we got an uptick in volume. So a close right near the high of the day on an uptick in volume over the upper Bollinger Band. That typically leads to continuation further in the up direction, higher. So you might have taken some profit through here as it goes through multiples of your average gain. That's what I like to do, but still looks strong. Am I buying at this point? No, I need to let it pull back, consolidate a little bit, and then go. But if you're in it, that's great. And then you can kind of use this base point below the day to stop you out of the rest of the trade. That was AVXL. And last one that we got from StockTwits was StarBucks, SBUX. And I actually really like the setup for this. It's going into earnings, so I'm not 29th, what's that, 6 days, so Thursday? Could be wrong on the day. Probably not taking a trade that close to earnings, because unless it's going to run up my required 10%, not looking to trade it. But nice action here, broke out, pulled back, found some support at that 20-day, and today higher highs, higher lows with increased buying volume. So maybe this is running up to earnings if you're already in, but kind of a cup and handle, weird shaped cup. But if we can break over the high today, likely that we run into earnings. That's SBUX StarBucks. All right, a couple trades that I wanted to cover today was AMTX. This was a huge winner for me this week. Basically, one of the three trades that softened my P&L. Otherwise, it would have been a pretty bad week. This was a beautiful setup, exactly what I look for. Stock that's already in a strong uptrend. And when the entire market's shaky, I like to go to some of the smaller names because it's less correlated with the overall market. So even though market's shaky or in a downtrend, can make some money on these smaller stocks. So that's what I look towards. We see a breakout here, 60, 70%, volume ticking up, and then it pulled back, and then I just drew this downward line through here, but bought here, added the next day as it held the 8-day exponential moving average. So at this point, got in with a full 10% of my position, or 10% of my portfolio at an average of 355. And as it broke out with increased buying volume, I just started selling into strength. You can see all these red flags. When it hit $5 all the way up here, I think the high was 510. Yep, high was 510. When it first hit 5, I took another 10% off. So once we got to this red candle, I was already 60% of the way out. Took another 10% today of the way out as it broke under the previous low here. So right now sitting at 3% of my overall portfolio, with still a good profit buffer. Let's see, 355 to today, still up 16% from my entry point. So today was a terrible day, down 15%. But I already have a profit. Benefit of me selling into strength was I've already booked a lot of the profit, and now we're just kind of letting this play out. I have the rest of my stop at my entry. What I'm hoping for is this is just a strong shakeout. So from the highs here, pulled down 23%, then we can get going again. But I do like this breakout here was on higher volume than the 2 selling days. So nothing too bad there because I sold into strength. Especially when the markets are shaky, I'm trying to take profit a little bit quicker than I would when everything's in a strong uptrend. So that's AMTX, one of my saviors this week, but a good example of why you need to take profit while it's there. Let's go KIRK. This is a trade that I've taken in the past, sold into strength, and then it just kept on being strong, but didn't really give me kind of gave me an entry to get it back in, but wasn't focusing on it through here, but has since pulled back, undercut a lot of these lows, which I love to see. I love to see an undercut of the lows, but never went under the 20-day simple moving average, and then had an inside day yesterday, and then we popped up, made new highs over Thursday and over Wednesday's high. So bought in at 1166 today, and only 5% of my portfolio. Again, this is more of putting feelers out into the market, not trying to hit any home runs, but quality pullback, held some support. I'd like to see some volume come in on Monday if we start pushing up, and I'll just use either the previous low or 6-ish% for my stop. Maybe break it up, do the low and then kind of under this lower wick to see how it goes. But that's KIRK, has been previous winner. Let me zoom out, show you guys the full picture. Kind of forming a really large cup and handle through here. So if this can push up and then we break out of that cup, it can run really, really well. So that's my goal with that trade. Hopefully we get something on that. PBI, this is the other one that did really well for me. Took this trade a little bit later than I would have liked, but it was thanks to someone on StockTwits that they were like, hey, look at PBI. So caught this after hours at 650 because it wasn't my exact entry of using like, I could have used these 3 days here, the highs of 636 I mean, to get in. So because I didn't get in exactly at the price I wanted, I got in with 2/3 of my typical position, so maybe 6-7% of my portfolio. But it's exactly what I'd like to see. Let me zoom out so you can get the kind of an inverse-ish head and shoulders, but got 3 lighter pullbacks, 50-day simple moving average, always held support. Then we broke out, pulled back, kind of did the same, like 2-day breakout sideways action on super light volume. Let me kind of get the big volume day away. So lighter volume action through here, increasing buying volume as we broke up. Then we got that red candle close, sideways action. Again, that red candle close over the upper Bollinger Band, always a sign, doesn't always work, but always a sign to maybe take some profit off or be prepared prepare yourself mentally for sideways action or pullback. But bought into here. Next day, we just got the volume pumping. It's broke, let's see, I think it was like 18%, something like that, 15%. Seemed a little bit higher, but closed right at the high of the day on increased buying volume over the upper Bollinger Band. All signs for continuation, and that's exactly what we got. Slightly higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. You see a green flag here. That's just because I accidentally sold everything instead of just a portion. So I put some size back on, and we got earnings coming up on October 30th. I do have enough profit so far going into earnings, so this is something that I'll just leave up. If I still have the profit going into earnings, I'll just let it run through. But that was PBI. Like to see the volume with the breakout, the close near the high, and upper above the upper Bollinger Band. That's great continuation setup. Let's go parts, PRTS, something that you can add to your watch list here. Has been a previous monster winner, and then pulled back really well, 40% pullback. Let's see, 40%, 25, let's just call it 23, and then even lighter here, so 6%. I didn't trade this initial breakout, but as it broke out with good volume and then started pulling back, I just used the high of the days here to draw diagonal entry. And then I just got in at an average of 311, 312. And since then, just kind of sideways action, volume lighter, but always holding this 8-day exponential moving average. So basically now it's just in this nice flag formation. Nothing crazy, but hasn't cleanly broken out yet. So still time to get in if it does show some strength. Don't just buy because I have it, because it could easily, just like a lot of the quality setups, just break to the downside. But if this starts breaking to the upside and we see buying strength keep going up, then we should see a run to previous all-time highs, which would be about 20% move on that. Maybe we make some all-time highs. So that's my thought process on parts, PRTS. Has been a previous winner. Got that VCP, volatility contraction pattern that we look for. And then good relative strength. Looking down here, you could see relative strength compared to the market, compared to QQQ, going up. So once the market does come back, this will float quickly to the top. That was parts. ROKU is another trade that I took, I think on Wednesday. Went in with 10%, took 5% off just because I was trying to lighten up everything. But outside of that, didn't give me because of this chart, it didn't give me a reason to get out. I was just trying to lighten up portfolio overall. But really strong breakout through here. I was using the highs of previous days as kind of a downward diagonal to get in. The one day first green day was on higher volume. That's constructive. And we got higher highs, higher lows on Thursday. And then is this an inside day-ish on light volume. So this has not decided if it's going to crash down or break back to the upside. I'm hoping to the upside. I have 5% of my portfolio in it. But if it doesn't, I'll just cut the trade. If it starts working against me, I can always put size back on when it works. But got the 20-day simple moving average running up here. If we get some sideways action, that can hold support, and then I'll put my stop under there, giving it a little bit more wiggle room. So this is ROKU. Hasn't cleanly broken out yet. So again, something that you could throw on your watch list. If we can break over, I would use Thursday's high to actually give it some wiggle room. And again, hold off on the first 30 minutes, 45 minutes of the trading day, especially on Mondays. Mondays typically gap up, and then, well, you just can't trust the first 30 minutes, especially on Mondays. So, but ROKU is something I'm watching, something I'm in. Let's see. CTIC. This is one that really nice high tight flag. Not a typical name you trade. So didn't see a lot of news on this, which I like. So there's less market correlation with this one. Pulled back to that 8-day, did bounce. So now there's some support with the 8-day exponential moving average. Got a couple more days showing support with the lows there. And you see big buying volume and then just super quiet. So I like that. I bought when it broke over this previous day's high. I could have used a downward diagonal, but again, with things weak, I used the previous day's high to get in. And again, not a ton of position on this trade, but after hours, right after I bought in, there was some upgrade. I forget who it was by, but I actually got 20% of my size off at 375 after hours, which was great because we haven't even hit that again. So when things pop after hours, I do like to lock in some profit as it goes through my average gain, because you never know what's going to happen with that. So broke out. Today we got higher highs, higher lows. Did get good buying volume comparatively. So this is one that even if you drew your candle, your resistance through there using that high, we've broken above that. So looking for this to continue higher now. So CTIC, this is one that I use the Finviz scanner that we'll be going through later to find. So quiet name, never heard of it, but chart looked constructive. We got news. I had no idea. This was completely lucky that it got upgraded. I had no idea that was coming, but quality setup. You put as much probability on your side, and then you just roll the dice, and that's what I did with this one. Final one of my trades that are still setting up pretty well is MAXR. Zooming out here, really strong uptrend through here. Looked like we were breaking out, and if the market went higher instead of pulling back, I'm sure we would have just pressed higher through here. Unfortunately, market pulled back, so now we got this kind of downward diagonal. Let me draw that again, that was terrible. Kind of downward diagonal here, holding up that 8-day exponential moving average really well. Volume pretty quiet. I have maybe 5%, maybe even less, 4% or so in this one. But if we break over this high, because this has held good relative strength through here, I'll be looking to add size to this. And this is one where it tells you right away if you're right or wrong, because it's been consolidating nicely. Break under here and you're trimming, maybe getting stopped out, and then you can always add back if it moves higher. So that's MAXR. Got a couple more trades to watch for next week, but let me jump into the comments here and see what you guys want to see. Tupperware, perfect. That was one that I wanted to talk about anyway, so let's start with that. This is one that has been on my watch list for a while. Tried to trade it basically at the top, did not continue, so got stopped out. But you can see really strong action through here, up 720% from May. Then we start to get that VCP action. So 27% pullback on that first one. Now we know this is a fake low, so this actual low, 17%. Do we pull back again before breaking out? Maybe, but this is the, let's see here, it's easier to draw this downward diagonal if it's tight, but so using some of these previous highs outside of this outlier, again, a reason not to buy in the first 30 minutes was this opened up, just shot up, and then immediately sold off. So a fake breakout here, but now drawing the highs from basically the closes of those days or the opens. Today we broke cleanly out and closed above that. Let's see volume. Little uptick when we broke out. This red bar, a lot of the volume's up in the peak here, not as much in the sell-off. Still a decent amount, but so this is not a trade I've taken. This is one where I'm letting go to see how this runs. If this runs and we get a couple of these good growth stocks, or at least growth stocks in the short term, break out and hold, then I can start putting more size on. Then I can take some hedge off. But if you're in the stock, this is exactly what you wanted to see. Now we just have to see if it keeps it up. Earnings, let's see, October 28th, exactly, too close for me to trade. So let's see if you can get a nice profit going into earnings. Otherwise, stick to your earnings plans. But Tupperware, something I'm watching. Hopefully it keeps going and we get that market to turn around. Let's go eBay. Let's see. Yeah, I traded this little pivot through here. Since then, we're putting in some higher lows. I like that. Right now, we closed right at the 8-day, 20-day, 50-day simple moving average. So a lot of resistance right there. We also have earnings on the 28th. So a lot of this stuff with earnings, I'm just not going to trade. If you're in it, I don't know if you have the profit to hold into earnings, but you have no idea how earnings are going to go. Even if they beat expectations, sometimes it gets guided down and all that. Too much volatility. So unless you have the profit buffer, I wouldn't trade it. I saw one on here that I also wanted to cover. Let's see. It was super quiet name. WTRE. Yep. So WTRE. I checked StockTwits. This has 14 followers. So not one that I'm going to get some subscribers from, but good stock to talk about. Love the volume pattern on this. So broke out high volume. I wonder how much of the volume on this red candle was buying it back up through here, but held that move with that 20-day simple moving average, gapped up again on high volume. The 2 red days here were on such light volume, and then we gapped up again. So Mark Minervini calls this the tennis ball action, where you break out, pull back, and then bounce higher. Pull back, bounce higher. So you're not just breaking out and then pulling back to the base and then crashing down. This is giving you strong bounces. And this one, like this can't be a cleaner volume pattern if you artificially made it. So tons of buying volume, and then it gets super quiet. At this point, how much? 87K. So if you're a bigger trader, I don't trade with a ton of size, you're probably avoiding this. But if you're a smaller trader, then this is a perfect one that you can, it'll tell you right away if you're right or wrong if we start breaking under these lows. But you're buying on strength. You're buying when this big volume comes in. But this has gotten so quiet. No one is talking about this on StockTwits. 14 people even have it on their watch list. So something that I'm going to be adding to my watch list and watching. Earnings here, October 27th, unconfirmed. Tried to do a check before this. Didn't get a straight answer. So if you know when their earnings is, drop it in the comments. I'll check that out. But WTRE, something to add to your watch list. An uncommon name that perfect volume pattern, perfect tennis ball action. Let's see if it keeps going. Apps, is the bottom in? That's a question you have no idea. That's why I don't like to trade in a downtrend. I'll wait until the bottom starts showing and then we pivot out of that. This is the right kind of candle formation that you like to see with bottoming action. Got earnings coming up the 29th. So you get an undercut, one more undercut of all the lows here. Let's see. And then this closed at the high of the day, green hammer. So that's what you want to see off a kind of a pivot. But I'm not buying into this. I have no idea, especially with how the market's been going. This is still a downtrend. Like, until it shows action, maybe gets over the 8-day, over the 20-day, something like that. And that'll run right into earnings. So I'm not trading this one. But if you're already in it, hopefully you took some profit on the way up and then you had stops set. So if you had your stop set, once you start breaking under these previous day's lows, you get out right near the top. So not too bad. That's why I always preach stop losses. I always preach taking some profit on the way up because you never know. And I have no idea. I don't know if this is the bottom. This is what you like to see out of the candles, but that doesn't mean it has to be. There's no absolutes in trading. So we'll keep an eye on this. Got earnings coming up. That'll change everything. So not much technical analysis with this one. Pins. Yeah, this is one that I had on my watch list. Just didn't end up trading this one, but it's beauty. Good breakout action on volume, then it gets super quiet. Has one day where it undercuts all of these lows, which you love to see that because it takes out all of those stops. And then it just immediately starts moving higher. So higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, held that 8-day. got an inside day on super low volume compared to that breakout day. And then I don't know if there was news or is this when Snapchat went? Yeah, maybe Snapchat had something to do with that. I don't know, guessing. And then just continuation higher. So going into earnings, let's see, when is that? 28th as well. You might have some profit to run it into earnings. So great chart, exactly what you want to see. Breakout, then it gets quiet, undercut, and then good volume on the breakout. Yep, Mike R, you're completely right. Tennis balls, not eggs. So highly recommend you read all of Mark Minervini's books. Really changed trading for me. And follow him on Twitter. A lot of good trading psychology there. Let's see, any more that we got? I think there was one more in here. Sorry, I'm a terrible reader. Good with math, terrible at reading. Oh, go. That one was so frustrating to trade. Yeah, I mean, this is broken out, pulled back. Like you could see that looked great, and then just started selling off. It's still setting like higher lows here, but such a frustrating trade. So when stuff like this happens, it's just best not to trade it, or to trade with lighter and lighter size until it starts working for you. What was the other one that was on here? PPSI. Ooh. Yeah, so I don't know the story about the stock at all, but man, from the high here to where it's at now, I mean, it's down 70%. I'm not trading it. I don't. If it pulls down more than 40% from its high point, I usually just scratch it, unless it starts setting up really constructively with like waves of pullbacks and then breakouts. On something like this, we're likely to see like a fake breakout like you do here. You can just put the stock in the comment section and I'll get to it. You might see a fake breakout here, and then on higher volume. This just isn't something that I'm going to be trading. I think I had this on my watch list for when it was like here, coming down through here, because volume got really light on the pullback. But it's just down too much. All right, let's get to my watch list for the next week, and then we'll go to the Finviz. ACRS, sorry about that. Good buying volume through here. Look at this one red day we got. And red candle close outside the Bollinger Band. Again, that's typically where I'd take some profit, but doesn't always have to go down. Because we saw that on lighter volume, and then boom, just more breakout. So let's see, from the pivot here to the top, 90% breakout, pulled back to the 8-day, bounced, has pulled back again. Let me kind of get rid of some there. All right, so exactly the volume pattern you want to see. Pull back on light volume, a little breakout on heavier volume, and then it's gotten super quiet here. I did not take this trade yet. It's just on my watch list. I don't think it broke over the previous day's high, so 439, 436. Hasn't broken out over the previous day's high yet, so I'm still waiting and watching, but it's holding that 8-day really well. Has not closed under that since the breakout. Really light volume action. We're going to see a strong move in one direction or the other coming up shortly. But because it's broken to the upside, pulled back, broke out again, I'm guessing it's going to be to the upside. Probability-wise, it's going to be to the upside. Forming kind of a flag here. So something to watch. Again, this one, not a big name. Doesn't have market correlation. ACRS, good volume pattern. Good pullback. Let's see how that goes. BNTX. It's one that someone asked about it last week and I didn't get to it. Totally forgot about that. So sorry about that. Covering it now. let's see, what is this off the high? This might be kind of too much. 49%, yeah, 49%, 50% off the highs when it pulled back to the low. Probably not going to trade that. But I mean, we'll see. It's putting in higher lows, did break out on good volume, and then starts to get kind of shaky through here. Not the clean volume that I like, where it gets really quiet on red days. Basically just handing off shares to each other as it moves sideways. But put in slightly higher lows through here, just slightly. Right around that 8-day, holding that area well. This is going to be one that I don't trade, but I watch. So if this breaks out and holds, that's good. That tells me that there's a little bit more market strength. But because I'm trying to be very picky now with like volume, exactly the setup I like, maybe get that undercut of previous lows. When things are going really poorly, I like to get more and more picky with my stock selection. So this is one that I have on my watch list. I'll be watching it. Hopefully it goes. Hopefully it goes without me. That's fine. But that'll give me a little bit more confidence in the market. So it's Mark Minervini. SSPI. And expecting some FDA approval news. Yeah, I don't trade based on news at all. I'll always trade on price and volume because news can always be manipulated. If you see this week, all we got was stimulus is going to happen. Oh, it didn't happen. Oh, it's going to happen. Oh, it didn't happen. Oh, it's going to happen. Didn't happen. So news can always be manipulated. I'll trade with price and volume as my two indicators. I have moving averages and stuff here, but it's all just a manipulation of price and volume. So that's BNTX, something to watch, but maybe not trade. CELH is looking really good. Kind of fits all my pickiness here. So we broke out through here with high volume. This was like a slightly red day, but held up, had higher highs, higher lows. First test to the 8-day, found support, broke out on an uptick in volume. Volume is basically just super quiet. And then we got an undercut of some previous lows here and undercut the gap. So I like that. Came back, recaptured that 8-day exponential moving average, had higher highs, higher lows today. And now I'm drawing this downward diagonal. If we can break, basically, if we could break over today's high of $46, that'll be what's on my watch because this did break to the upside 16%. So it's not going to be one that you're going to double your portfolio on, but quality setup, has the volume pattern I'm looking at, has some support through here, has undercut some previous lows to get those stops out, reclaimed that moving average. Now it's go time. Maybe it goes without me. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but definitely one to watch. That's SAIL, SAIL. Two more to cover, and then we'll get to the Finviz scanner. So PDD, this is one that I've been talking about a lot. Someone on StockTwits recommended I take a look, so thank you for that. This went all the way up 164% from April to June. Kind of traded down. So let's see, what from the high to low here is 29%, 30%, so not under that 40%. We did break out with some high volume, then got really quiet as it moved to the side, or moved down. Volume picked up here, so increase in buying volume as it breaks out again, and then it gets really quiet as it pulls down to the 8-day. Saw the low of the day right on that 8-day exponential moving average. So you could use the highs of a couple of these days to buy in if we pivot higher through here. So good volume pattern, good tennis ball action, as Mark Minervini would say. Got that strong pullback from the highs, so we're not just buying randomly at the high of the move, creating a good kind of pivot point where you could get in with a high and then use the low of the day, even maybe undercut that low, and that's only 4.4%. So gives you wiggle room to tell you if you're wrong, but a really nice entry point where if you're right, makes new highs. That's 16% move. So volume, pattern, good. Relative strength, good. Something to watch for. PDD. And last but not least is TSM, something that I talked about yesterday on Stock Twits to watch. Got that undercut of all these lows. Maybe not this guy, but basically, maybe it was. Yeah, right at that low. And then it started to take off, went up 20%, let's just say, a nice 20%. And then pulled back, and then it's just sat right on that 8-day exponential moving average. So nothing too fancy here if we start moving off that, especially if volume can kind of pick up. So if volume's starting to pick up as we break out, if we can move over the previous high, then good one to get in on. This is probably another one where it's not too exciting for me, but I'll keep it on my watch list to give me some confidence in the market that we're going to go up. So Ricardo covered MAXR earlier on in the stream. So once I post it, I put timestamps on everything. You can go back through that. We'll get through a couple of yours. Let's see. JMIA. Great movement, great volume. A little tennis ball action here. Are you buying at this point? Absolutely not. You definitely want to give it some time to cool off, get a quality entry point. But if you're in this, you've taken some profit on the way up, and you're just kind of trailing your stop behind, maybe a couple days below. Really like the volume action through here. Looks good. And then BIDU. BIDU. Yeah, this is one I've covered in the past. It's not that extended over the 200-day simple moving average. Not really in a super strong uptrend. Maybe a little bit of a cup and handle here, but probably not something I'm going to trade. I want to trade stocks that have already kind of gone past their pre-COVID high. But doesn't mean you can't make money on the trade. Just not something that I'm looking at. You got your cup and your little handle. Maybe we break out through there. Good volume action. Broke out on high volume, pulled back on low. Broke out on high, pulled back on low. Good one to look at. And final one, DT. We got earnings up. What happened? All right, let's just call it there. I don't know what's going on with my E-Trade, but let's jump to the Finviz scanner. So outside of Twitter, that I get a lot of my trade ideas from, that's why you follow good traders on Twitter. I use Finviz to search for new trade ideas, especially when a lot of the large or like most common stocks aren't setting up well, and we get shakiness in the overall market. I like to use Finviz, maybe take a look at some smaller stocks. That's where I found CTIC this week. So Finviz, completely free. You'll get a bunch of ads on here, like you'll see, but you can just exit out of those. But what I do is go to this screener here, and then it'll have a bunch of different filters you can throw on. So it'll have descriptive filters, fundamental filters. Let's let that load for a little bit. And what I really like is the technical filters. So what I'll do through here is market cap and tons of options, but I'll do maybe small plus, so over 300 million. You can be really picky with this. I'm not usually like extremely picky. I would rather over look at charts than under look at it, but let's see. For volume, I do over, again, I'm not super picky. I do over 200K. You can do over. However, if you are trading with larger amounts of money, then you want to do larger volume here, so you don't face illiquidity problems when you're trying to get in and out of positions. You could do some short float options. So I like to look at float individually. Once I find a setup that I like, I'm like, all right, let's see if this is shorted a lot, because if a stock that's setting up really well also has a large amount of people shorting it, you could create that short squeeze once the pattern breaks out in your favor and get a really strong breakout. But I'll typically check that after, once I find a good setup. And then price here, I'll do over 4. Let's see, over $4. Again, doesn't have to be, let's just do over, not under 3, sorry. You can be as picky as you want here, but let's just say over 5 for today. I usually do over 3. Let's see, anything else I need? Current volume, relative strength, shares outstanding. So I think that's all I use for the descriptives. And then for technicals, this is where I get really picky. I want to be over the 20-day simple moving average. Price above 20-day. Price above the 50-day. So this is telling me I'm trading. This is only giving me the strongest stocks. So maybe this isn't set up perfectly to buy it, but I can add these to my watch list, so when they pull back on low volume, I can start to put some size on. So above the 200-day, above the 50, above the 20-day, from the 52 week high low, I want to be extremely higher than the 52 week. Let's do 300% above the low. So we're only looking at the strongest stocks. And RSI, I want a stock showing good strength, but not, it doesn't have to be overbought, but not oversold. So over 50%. And I haven't gone through every single one of these different screeners, but you can be really creative with this. So this is a perfect thing to do when the market's being terrible, as it is right now for a lot of these growth stocks. Instead of spending time at the screen just focusing and looking at stocks that are going in the wrong direction, take some time and buffer up your skills and look through Finviz, see what fits your what you like to look at. So I think this is all I usually have. Beta, yeah, so you can be super picky with this. And then it gives you a list, and there's whatever number of stocks here. But if it's above the 20, if it's above the 50, above the 200, 300% over the low of the year, not oversold, those are all strong stocks. And then if it's fitting your volume, if it's fitting your price, then you could be a little bit picky. You could set more on here if you want to be like extremely picky during the week, but now that it's the weekend, you can create a giant list for yourself and just kind of roll through some of these. So let's go, let's see what went up the most today out of everything. So you can filter on this. Yeah, JKS got hit. You can filter based on price, based on change, volume, PE, market cap, all that good stuff. So yeah, Snapchat, let's just take a couple of these. Surf, and another super nice thing is when you just hover over the stock, it'll give you a screen of what it's looking at. So you can quickly identify, is this a stock that I'm going to be buying right now, or is this something I'm adding to a watch list and then I'll come back to? If I'm looking for a stock that I'm trading right now, take a look at Surf, SURF, broke out, has gotten tighter. Let me do. I got E-Trade back going, so let me bring that over. If you guys are enjoying yourself, please leave a like and a comment on here. Likes and comments, and definitely subscribe to the channel. We do this twice a week. All that stuff helps me out a lot. And that's all I want for my birthday on Sunday is a couple likes here. So surf looking good, above the 200, above the 50, above the 20, everything that we looked for. Got that undercut of previous lows with a bounce off the 20-day simple moving average. Let's pull this over here, get the volume relativity. Big volume on that breakout, lighter volume on the sideways action, big volume as it came through here. Now it's getting quiet again. Today we broke over the high. This is one I'm going to be adding to my watch list. So just like that, I've never heard of this stock before, but using a free site, Finviz, we put in our filters, found what we wanted. And then what I like to do after that, once I look at the chart in more detail, we go back to Finviz. We can go up here for the search ticker, just put in surf. And then let's learn a little bit about the stock. So it'll show you your picture. It'll show all the detail here. This is all free, all free. It's amazing. Short float, only 3%. That would have loved if that was higher because this is a really strong chart. But then you do your homework on it. Nothing crazy, super cheap, super quick to do. You get these ads, you exit out of them, no big deal. Let's kind of scroll through here. Let's change that one more time. Let's take one more SIG extended. Not going to trade on that breakout. That looks like it's been in a downtrend. Not looking at that. CRDF, we've talked about that before. ECOM. Let's take a look at that guy. ECOM. So let's see, pull back from the highs, right at that 42%. A couple pullbacks to the 8-day exponential moving average. Let's get rid of this big volume candle so we can actually look. Big volume on the breakouts. Big volume on that breakout. Pulled back, got quiet. Today we moved higher. Probably not one that I'm going to trade here, but just because it had that 40% down. But maybe something I add to my watch list. Let's see how that holds. So that's Finviz, guys. I love this site. I could spend hours on this, but you don't have to. You can be as picky as you want in the filters here, and it might give you a list of 8 stocks to take a look at, or you could be like me and be relatively open with the stocks that I want to look at and then just go through them manually. I think that was everything on the agenda. Let's see, are there any more stocks that you guys want me to look at? There's one more, CTIB. Let's end it there and we'll call it a stream. Finviz is awesome. CTIB, yeah. This isn't really something that I'm gonna be trading. Red giant candles, so tons of selling when there is any pops. A lot of overhead up here. So even though it's up today, up after hours, and again, you can make money on this, this is just not something that I'm gonna be trading. Yeah. Good luck to you. I don't mean to discourage that, but yeah, not a stock for me, maybe a stock for you guys. All right, that's all I got. Please leave a like. Please leave a comment if you're not watching this in real time. Have a great weekend. Let's give this market a little bit of time to show its strength before we put any real money in. Right now, instead of trading 10% position size, I'm trading 5. I'm using QQQ as a hedge for every dollar that I'm in. I think I'm actually net short at this point. Let's see if they pass stimulus, get the market going again. Have a great weekend, guys. Take care.